I'm the boy in your other phone, lighting up inside your drawer at home, all alone, pushing 40 in the friend zone. We talk and then you walk away every day. Oh.
Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to the class of Understanding Life Science, spring semester 2021. Well, it's been almost exactly a year since we were put to this miserable confinement classroom environment. So the freshmen the year before and then you, assuming many of you are college freshmen, did not have any chance to actually enjoy the real college life, which is, I believe, it's not at all about the taking classes, learning things, but actually having this all different activities through which you can make many different friends, all of which probably you can carry on for the rest of your life as a very, very valuable asset. I really miss that type of opportunity and experience back in my days of college. I did make my own version of those activities and friends, but still people tend to want more. So anyway, but regardless, I am very pleased to have you all in this classroom. So hopefully we can have a very positive, pleasant memory all together throughout the semester. So this is scheduled the information which I believe all of you are really not a surprise, too boring. So yeah, you already, I guess you know about this. But anyway, the bottom line is, when you need to contact me through any email communication, yes, this is the main email address you can rely on. And this is the location where you can find me, and this science building and on campus. But since I'm a very goofy guy, so you must be very lucky if you can find me sitting in my office in the lab. If you decided to come to visit without any advance the appointment. So if you really need to see me in person to person, in this era of a pandemic, right? We have a much better alternative available in these days, like a Zoom call and you name it. But anyway, this is where you can actually try. And probably this office phone is not going to be able to help too much, because but you can freely make use of this my cell phone number. I assume no one really actually try to call me on a voice call, but a lot of times actually text messaging works. And so in any time in the days, like even really late at night, extremely early in the morning, simply you can reach me by texting. Whether I will respond immediately to that message is just totally up to me, depending on my mood and the timing. Anyway, you can try. So I made several changes actually this semester. Well, I occasionally do that. And so this hit that cycle of the makeshift, maybe I guess. So I have decided not to have any formal textbook this semester, because actually, even if the university rule asks specifically to have one formal textbook, so that's the only reason I assign any sort of textbook in the past. However, I don't really go by any textbook. It's just my lecture content is just made up, like just cooking, just bring up everything you know, like throw your kitchen sink type of stuff, and then try to formulate. And also, due to the nature of this subject, which is not actually the major biology course, it's not for the major. It's for the general, so to speak, it's a general audience. Assuming most of this audience is non-science major who have never taken any science course before, even though in reality a lot of students enrolled in this classroom is actually they are science major. Even the biology majors occasionally take this. So this is really so diverse and broad spectrum of the student, the audience as an audience. And so having any really serious, academically serious biology textbook as the textbook is not going to work. That's why I've been really searching to find any good textbook for this purpose. Sometimes, some occasions, I just felt that I may have found like this book. Unfortunately, this is written in Korean. So anyway, all these books that I at least intended to use, I just put this semester, put these 4 of these in the reference books. So if you have any extra time and extra money, you don't really need any money actually, because I put all these books in the library reserve, so you can I guess you can check that out. How specifically the procedure, I don't know really, but so that's the deal. So anyway, these books, it will obviously, if you just read, they will help tremendously on understanding what's all life science about. Yeah, so I highly recommend all these books, but each book has its own advantage and disadvantages. So that's the reason why I actually kind of hesitated to use any of this as a formal textbook. So this book, the good thing about this book is written in English. However, it is more structured, like more formal textbook, like formatting and the order, and also it's bits of outdated. The year 2013 is like almost 10 years ago. In this business, in this field of life science business, 10 years ago, things are usually like the Stone Age thing. I'm kind of a little bit of exaggeration, yes. This one is also a very good book. However, it's written in Korean. Actually, the Chaos Foundation. I'm a subscriber to the YouTube channel of this Chaos Foundation, and at least have a strong enthusiasm to follow their regular lecture series, like having so many different areas of really helpful information about the general the sciences, not only about this life science. So if I always plan on following this, but the reality, I don't really have time to do. So what a poor excuse, isn't it? And another thing is, I forgot setting my timer on so that I don't really have a too lengthy lecture in one session. This is also another very good book, written in English, and actually it's the book version of actually original the film series, and so that one is also like available in the book version. I don't know. It's been it's the translated version in Korea. That's so all of this really very helpful book, but for one reason or the other, I don't really suppose any of this would be suitable to have as a textbook in our classroom. That's why I just forget it. I don't have. So we're not going to have any textbook. That means only my content of this lecture plus those accompanying the lecture note, lecture outline will be just sufficient. Like if you are only interested in getting a good grade after having the high score in the whatever form of the exam, yeah, that will be just sufficient. That's I can assure you. So these are already assigned at the library, as I said. So you can, whenever you feel like to explore these books, you can do so. I just hope that all this coronavirus, the inconveniences just soon go away, so we can move a little bit freely, so that everyone actually can have a easier access to library. I assume that these days you don't really even have the actual physical access to the library. That's why I kind of expect it. And this is the best, one of the best reference sources whenever you want to have any usable information. Yeah, this is what I usually do, this Google. So like I always in the beginning of the lecture, in every semester, I emphasize this, like even though I've been in this business for a reasonable amount of time, so long, so I have accumulated plenty of information, specific expert information in my computer hard drive, which is really plenty. However, whenever I try to make a new preparation of a lecture or anything, it's not something that I dig into my hard drive, but I just quickly search in Google and then get the pull out the information, because that's much easier. So perhaps you can also probably you do also. You are much better than in information pulling techniques, as I assume. So any other, also if you are type of like a person that you want to have really a formal setting, and then you can also try to find any type of such general biology textbook and try to read. Although I wouldn't really recommend you to start from the very first page to the end in this sequential order. It's not going to really help, and it's not going to work. Anytime when you have some kind of issue that you are curious, then you just get into in that area, then try to find and understand. So that's probably is the better way of having this referenced and educated. So in this the I just forgot what I was going to say. Just forget it. Excuse me. So anyway, this lecture, all these lectures will be administered either in the form of actual the Zoom call or the pre-recorded video lecture. But I personally want to have some kind of a consistency. So even though it is very good to have an occasional the conference type, so that we can sit on face-to-face and have some live lecture or live conversation. But then this at intervals, if I just insert such session, it's not really the whole the structure and organization of the lecture is not consistent. So instead, I'm going to have some occasional those Zoom call mediate this the live lecture only for the purpose of, so to speak, this recitation session and question and answering session, and all this actual scheduled lecture material will be covered by these pre-recorded lecture movies. So then that will be available in the snowboard, of course. Actually, you know what? This recording the lecture, the habit, I actually have developed a long time ago, even before this corona thing hit our environment. So then everyone is now forced to have this. Actually, even in those days, when I have the lecture, the regular lecture and the classroom lecture, I have already always have this recording. It's the same setting as I do over here for you, like through this computer, the camera, webcam. I record what I do and then what I just present the slides, and then later make them available in the YouTube. So actually, my history of YouTube as a YouTuber has been more than 10 years right now. So pretty much I should be on kind of an expert and a pro YouTuber, but no. Some people really is very poor at learning and making progress like me. So this lecture hall, this recordings, the reason I just put them on the YouTube is the accessibility is really is a second to none. But the one problem is this file format, converting them into the YouTube viewing compatible thing takes really a long time. So if I make this finishing the recording, and then it will probably the equal amount of time I have to also spend in making this file conversion and editing things. So that's actually doubling and then tripling the amount of time and effort that I really need to put on this lecture management. But what can I say? So anyway, that lecture recordings will be available in the snowboard, but they will be this link. Of course, the version. So that's what I said. So these movie files will be available in my YouTube channel, and in the snowboard, this link URL links will be provided. Although I am also going to probably put the version of this lecture that you can directly view on the snowboard site without leaving the snowboard site. But the problem is, probably I will go over that later, sometime later, briefly. The quality is the file size limitation put on the snowboard site. So I cannot really make a big size file, so the video quality and the size, the screen size will be highly limited. So personally, I don't really like that, but different individual will have a different preference. So either way, suit yourself. Okay. So this YouTube is a long time YouTuber, but I have never tried to commercialize or to gain any financial like any benefit through this YouTubing things. I have never. So this YouTube channel is ad free, so you don't really have to worry about this. Oh, that guy is begging for this sum up and then subscription button. No, please, you don't have to. Just pressure free, just a better platform for this lecture consumption as I view this my YouTube channel. So yeah, that's what I said. This low resolution version of this movie 5K should be also available on Snowboard, as I said. And also lecture outlines that by now, by the time you are actually looking at this the lecture, probably you all know that what about this lecture outline is. So and occasionally, like every 3 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks intervals, that's what I originally have in mind. This live question and answer session, we call it as a recitation session, will be held over Zoom conferencing, so that we can have a little bit of this more intimate contact. Last semester when I tried that recitation session like stuff, but not many people actually seems to be actively participating, and so I don't know how this live lecture thing can go, but still I will try. So this about the scheduling and timing, exact timing. Probably the timing will be within our regular the lecture schedule time assigned, like Friday from 5 o'clock to whenever is what I expect now. So anyway, the details, more details information will just follow. I will keep you posted. Now another the change I made this semester, although it can be a little bit of a controversial. So the evaluation for grade in the past I have only like just one simple straightforward evaluation system, like you have a midterm and final exam, that's all. However, these days actually universities are really asking all these instructors to have multiple different ways of student evaluation, to have a little broader aspect of this like evaluation standard, which I'm all for it. Yes, some people are really good at taking just an exam. That doesn't mean that you are such a good student. Yeah. Well, anyway, why do you need to be a good student in the first place? You just all you gotta do is be a good person. You don't have to be a good student. Kidding aside. So like then theoretically I could have this, like you have these two exam system and one report, term paper report, and you have some quizzes, pop-up quizzes, so that by having more variety of this evaluation method, you can achieve this recommendation. However, I don't like that because I don't want to actually give it any unnecessary extra pressure or burden for this poor student. This is not the only important or not even nearly close to any importance stuff in your life. This is just a mere one subject what you can kind of like a taste in one short period, a brief period of your college life. So instead I decided to have this two different track evaluation system, which I really am curious, and I strongly believe that it will work, but emotionally at first probably some people will have a little bit of resistance, but just bear with me. So anyway, there are two options of you can finish this course and then asking for the legitimate evaluation in the form of grading. One option, option A, let's call it. So you had the traditional way of having two exams, the midterm and final exam. So I split the point distribution this semester is equally into two halves. Before I have a little, only like 40% here in the midterm, and the 55% in the final. And what about then the remaining 5%? This remaining 5% for the attendance record, but not anymore. I'm not going to worry anything at all about the attendance. What are you? I mean, joking? This is already this pandemic corona period, so all these classrooms are like held in an online. How can you actually implement any attendance in this type of classroom setting? I don't. So I'm not going to. But an option B is like once you have this midterm exam, and if you feel, oh, I have enough of this, I really hate taking another exam, this is killing me. If you are one of the person and feel like that, you can now at that point forget it, no more exam, and then you can choose for the other half. Like instead of taking a final exam, you can opt to have this report submission, which in specific guidelines I haven't really made up, but it's not a joke. It's not going to be a joke. Something like you don't really have to write a book, but a decent lengthy like 10 to 15 pages report. I don't know. Or maybe I should not put any kind of a limit in the page limit in report. The quantity versus quality, always quality wins, right? So anyway, so this option you can choose. So theoretically, like it could be in ideal world, like split into equal, like we have a little more than 60 students in this classroom enrolled at this point, but it could be split into equal half of 30 students, so that after this midterm exam, the half, hey, I'm going to turn in the report. Hey, I'm going to stick with this exam, so I'm going to just go through the final exam type of thing. And then how are you going to determine the final grade? This is anyway a little subjective evaluation system. So like if there was like 30-30 equal split, then the final grade will be made within this each subgroup. So like as you like in this semester, all this grading system is like 50% students can have an A. I've been having that policy for a long time because taking advantage of this English lecture, so I was able to give half of the entire enrollment an A grade, which is like maybe some of you may think it's an outrageous, it's too easy course, but some of you actually should be rewarded for their really extraordinary hard work, because for some it's going to be extra difficult because it's been dealt with this English language lecture. So that's how I am going to at this point now. Like actually this idea popped up to me last semester. Last semester actually I had my personal problems, so I toward the end of semester I goofed off, so there was a little chaos happened. So to deal with and to take care of that, to minimize the damage, so I just brought up this idea of having two different evaluation system. And then I was shocked actually so many students was like so strongly against this idea, like claiming that that's going to be really unfair evaluation system. So I just wonder why would that be so unfair? Because you are going to be evaluated based upon this relative, so the subjective, the evaluation system, like according to your rank. So if you were one of the group one of the group that chose the report, then your report, the qualitative report, will be part of your evaluation. And if you will stick with the exam taking group, then your so to speak the skills of taking exam will be the main determining factor of. But then what those students was really worrying about was this, like depending on where you put it, like your environment, specific environment. Like what if I was in the group that like much better students for some reason chose some specifically non-random choice, so that you were put in the, relatively speaking, better student group, then your grade will be lowered. Is there really a concern? Or maybe that, like behind the flip side of that, the concern was actually, what if my peer, my potential competitor, actually gain some unfair benefit by choosing the lucky ballot, like a lucky choice, so that they can have, while I am in this misery of having to compete with the, like a fiercer competition. Is, well, I don't know. To me, it's like you cannot really worry everything about those of the parameters, the variables. You can only worry what you can control. You should not worry what you cannot control. What the other parameter, what would other people do, relatively speaking, shouldn't really be the major determining factor for your any decision-making procedure. I believe. Just do what you believe, and just follow what you feel more comfortable. Regardless if you love reporting, if you love writing things about, then you should explore the opportunity of, like, present yourself. Hey, I can do this. What do you think? Or if you are really good at, like, connecting things and constructing some of the information so that you have a really correct answer on the questionnaire, yeah, I don't blame. You can just take the exams. It's not something that just because others will do better in what you have chosen shouldn't be any kind of a deterrent factors. Am I too much ideal? I don't know. But anyway, let's see what happens. So I want to actually witness, make sure, and then prove that I was right, so that this is not going to a big problem. And then in the end, everyone will actually have a much better experience in this course, is what the reason I have designed in this way of evaluation this semester. Okay. So for those who chose the option B of reporting submission, as I said, the specific guidelines for writing the report will be announced later. And when can I make this make up my mind? The initial decision on whether you choose the report option or stay with on the exam should be, not can, but should be made initially. After 1 week you finish your midterm exam, so you have a feeling, oh, how was it? I don't really like this kind of the exam. It's just nonsense. I'm going to rather actually take this writing things about or just like that. But as I said, it is an initial decision. Anyway, there will be a sign up sheet will be posted on the Snowball so that everyone can know approximately how many students actually signed up for report option and how many other students stay in the exam options like this. Then like even though initially you just decided to have this reporting option, but as the quarter, not quarter, the semester, I was in the quarter system when I was in the USA, so it's just my habit to put this semester as a quarter. The decision, you can change your decision. It's like anytime after that initial decision, hey, I just sorry, I will change into switch back into the exam option or vice versa. Like no one will just say anything about, or no one will try to take any kind of penalty points out of this, right? So it's just really your choice. So maybe a lot of those like bustling of the chaos. Yeah, I love it. Let's see what happens. But you cannot make such a change beyond a certain point. Okay. So this is the deadline for your change of your mind, change of your heart. So 1 week prior to the due date, report submission due date, you can play around this option, juggling around with it. And when is it due? It's just 1 day before the final exam. The final exam day will also be probably sometime in the Friday. I will just announce shortly, like after this slide. So the report submission is due by 1 day prior to the final exam date. And then the week before, you have to make the very, very final decision whether you are going to show up in the final exam in the Zoom call session, or you just turn in the report and then say goodbye. Although this can change, subject to change depending on some circumstances, but originally the schedule is a midterm exam will be on April 23rd on Friday at 5 o'clock, and usually I used to run the exam hours a 3-hour long exam for some reasons, and I don't really see any particular reason for changing such exam the length of the exam time, although it is the 3-hour exam. So like you may feel like, oh, it's going to be a really, really exhausting exam, but you can leave early. No one will try to hold you have to stay for 3 hours. No, if you don't really like, and the actual the degree of the difficulty of the exam, I believe, is not something that it will take 3 hours over any ponderous, so to speak. But I'm just I've been giving generous 3 hours timing for several years, for a long time. So what the heck? So I will just keep doing it. And the final exam scheduled for June 11th, so which is fall into the 15th week of the semester. So this is the at least originally I have scheduled. Okay, so about the exam, actually both midterm and final exam, as you expect, will be administered through this Zoom conference session, and through which actually the exam format will be, you will see many of those multiple choice questions plus several short essay questions. Short essay question, what I mean by that is like a given space a lot assigned for a specific question, that will take up about half the half page of this A4 paper, exam paper. So it's not a lot. So that type of amount maximum is something that I expect you to fill in for these essay questions. And actually, like I did in the past, I will put several versions of previous exams, so like a Jokpo. So you don't really need to try to find then your private source of the Jokpo. I'm going to give you the Jokpo so that you can have an idea about what type of questions been in the past. Although I cannot really guarantee the same type of question will be on this type this semester, so it's totally just depending on different circumstances, though, that you can have at least some ideas. And some students in every semester like express some of this the concern or worry. Do I really have to write all English in the essay questions? Of course, the multiple choice questions, all these questions will be in English. So at least you should be able to read English. But in answering, it's a different story. You can use Korean. You can boast of the Korean writing skills here. So it's not, even though it is an English language lecture, but I don't really try to give any benefit in the superior ability of English communication. It's good, yeah. If you somehow been lucky, so that you have a better English skill. English, what is it? Skill is kind of a little bit of a not proper word. I cannot really come up with a better, more proper word. But anyway, you know what I mean. So if you're good in English, which is very good, and probably I hope that you will have a better, like you can take a better advantage of this course. However, that doesn't really shouldn't be any kind of a benefit, even a benefit in exam taking like this. So whether you write your answer in Korean or English, the thing I'm looking for the evaluation point is your logic in writing, making up the sentences, how really logical, so that I can follow your written things. So it's very important whether it is in English or Korean. And it's also it's going to be important whether you are in the like social or humanity, like Munhwa student, or you are in a science or in an engineering. In everywhere, writing is extremely important until this the artificial intelligence totally take over all these our chores, so that we don't even have to worry about the writing on our own. They will come sooner or later, or sooner than later. But anyway, until then, we will still stick with what we think we can do better, like this. And another thing is, probably you have heard of a rumor. Even before this pandemic era, I used to administer the exam in this open book format, because I have my specific philosophy about this learning procedure. I don't really I'm not a believer in the knowledge as like taking simply just the knowledge is not at all important in this studying things, especially in this changing these days of a changing era. Everything changes so dramatically. Just because you have some more knowledge, just because you have a little bit of a better position to monopolize your the knowledge, certain knowledge, shouldn't be any kind of advantage over others, or shouldn't be any kind of a strong point in your ability. Actually, what's important in these days is how to connect and how to assemble all those piece of information available out there. The way we used to study and evaluate was really outdated, because those days were like access to information was highly limited. Only very small handful of people were able to have some easier access to the information, but not anymore. Everyone have really free, almost a free access to the information. It's just what's matter is how to pull out the information that is actually necessary for at this point, and then how to connect so that you assemble them so that you can use such information. So for that matter, this open book format should be the choice for student evaluation. So like, it's not even the traditional open book testing, like you can bring your own lecture note and textbook and your pillow and your refrigerators, and no, you can bring them all, of course, or not even bring, you can stay at your home so that you can have access to those your belongings, but also you can have this internet access. So maybe some of you actually may think, what? Then how can you actually have a proper evaluation? Everyone, if we were allowed to have an internet access, then everyone will have will ace in any exam questions. No, not. I've never seen in the previous several years when I had this, but that was not the case. So we don't really have to worry about this. The exam question is not going to be rigorous enough for this type of a setting. The only problem is a lot of times I find that strict direct copy pasting things in the occasion of this, the essay type of a question answer, because you are allowed to have an internet access, so that you just took without having any your input, you just pick the whole sentence and then pasted it. And what's wrong? Maybe there's nothing wrong, because that's what I said, you can have the internet access information. Or from the other side of flip is, then it should I actually consider that type of behavior as a plagiarism? Well, technically, yeah, you can, but maybe I better actually have a better effort. So like the questions, type of question that I generate, so that you cannot really have a just straightforward copy and paste to take care of that type of question is my job. So I always have to struggle with how to make up proper good questions for this. So it is not really easy things. So anyway, that should be the case. Even during the exam, actually you can have this access to write this lecture, my own lecture movies, in helping answering your questions. Yeah. So that I can increase the click number of my YouTube movies. Joking, no. So that's going to be the type of exam format. And like I said briefly, no attendance. You don't have to worry about any attendance. So there's nothing. Zip, nil attendance. Ooze. Okay. If you want to, you just study. You should be responsible for your own behavior as an adult. So I shouldn't worry about this. So like in this syllabus, because of this structured system, there is no way I can put up this reflect this alternative choice of alternative final and final exam, alternative final, in the form of this report setting. So here this point distribution is set on 0, but then you can understand in reality actually what is going to work is this, some of you have this, and instead some others, if you chose to have this alternative final, then instead of this you will have this as a total maximum 50 points, assuming that 100 points the maximum to in the final grading. Okay. And there is another extra, the variable, which I wasn't able to put in terms of this, the points weighing, because of this the computer, the system setting. But there will be some makeup chance. So if you have if you didn't do very well as you have hoped, either one of your midterm exam, or so this has to be done before the final though, then you will have a little bit of a small chance of makeup, only 10%. So there will be an extra point chance, which is not going to be, which it was not reflected on this lecture syllabus, but it will be there, so that if you have this extra point, 10-point maximum, then you can have this benefit of extra 10 point, and then it will be added up in calculating your total final grade points. So one way of this earning extra point is leaving a question on the snowboard here, this class Q&A sections, any question. In the past, one of the major reasons I presume that students are not really like active. Students are usually reluctant in having this question. It's because what if I had a question and then the questions looked stupid, so that other students will think I'm stupid. Actually, for that matter, even students have some occasionally some questions, they always have their question private, so that no other student can know or view what kind of question was going on. However, if we have this open type question, then not only the person who actually initially made the question, but all other students together get a huge benefit of learning. So I really want to have this practice on the regular basis. So any question, there's no such question like a stupid question. No, believe me. So if you leave any question, then you will earn 0.5 points. So in other words, if you want to make a hit total 10-point maximum, then throughout the semester you will have to have 20 questions. Easy, huh? There's one catch. Like I said, all these questions should be set as a public. So if you ask a question privately on this section, then sorry, unfortunately, you're not going to get any 0.5 point extra. Okay, so that all these questions should be made public. That's one condition. And also, alternatively, you can have like a cheat kit, jumping. So instead of having bit by bit, slow but surely 0.5 point earning extra, you can have this and one lump sum of 5 points if you made your own movie, like I do. So a very short movie, about 5 to 10 minute length, But what if I made a movie and then it's like 12 minutes, 13 minutes? So then would it count? Oh, it's time's up. No, it's okay. Like approximately about a very short movie is that I am emphasizing right now. This about 5 to 10 minutes length of this movie. If you generate over the topics, whatever topics that covered during the lecture, okay? Then you will earn 5 points. So that if you are enjoying making this short movie, then you can make by making only 2 of these, and then get over it. Instead, you don't really have to worry about making a question or anything. Okay, or it can be done in mix. So, and another thing is this movie content. So, even though you pick up any topic that was covered in the lecture, but actual the content of your movie is not be about any serious subject like technical or academic in nature. You can actually have your feeling about, oh, I think coronavirus is just a devil. Like, for example, coronavirus is just bullshit or anything. So it's just your emotion. You can rent out your emotion, your feeling, and your thought about non-academic thought about any subject or topics of this life science is something could be a legitimate, very good the choice, the topics of the movie. Okay. So like this maximum 10 point extra can be reached by entirely only made of these questions. In the case you have to make up 20 questions, or entirely by the movies. In the case only you make all you gotta do is making 2 such movies, or in a mix like 1 movie and like 10 questions. Okay, just like you suit yourself. But the most important thing about this extra point, the thing is, if I have this kind of extra point opportunity, it becomes just, it's not an extra point anymore. It is a mandatory point. Everybody should, I should do this extra point. Please don't do that. This is really, literally, this is an extra point. If you feel, oh, I really need a little bit of a boost, I think I need a little bit of something that tricky. If you don't feel like you don't really have to use a tricky every time you play games, right? So this is only just extra point. If you feel like to have a little bit of an option, so be it. But if you don't, hey, who cares on an extra point? I don't. Without even this extra point, I will be fine. Then please do not worry about this fulfilling this extra point options. Okay. So this grading, so relative grading scale, but half of these students will end up in A's. A means like I don't usually give A minus unless you are repeating this lecture for several various reasons. So usually it's like for those 50%, top 50% of the students, something like A plus and then A0 will split into this according to this standard. Usually my standard of this decision is about 30%, 30% or 50% got the A plus, and the remaining then the 20 other will have about A0 was the usual. But as you easily understand, it can change depending on different year or different circumstances. It can very well change. But the one not changing, the constant standard will be as much as possible. I will try to give half. So I will not waste any this the maximum number of students that I can give A. Yeah, if we're like 50%, yeah, why not use them up all? And the unlucky half, like so a lot of times this cutting the line between these two halves, it's been an agony, because in reality actually that's the dilemma of having this relative grading scale, in that actually you just arrange all the students according to their ranks on their the points, okay? And then when you have this the line, the cutoff line in between, then actually the difference between this A, the last person who got in the A group, and the top person remain in the B range, is actually very, very, very small, infinitesimal difference, but still you have to actually divide. So that's just I always don't like, and that's one of the reason I'm a strong proponent of this, the absolute grading scale, so that I can in that case I can really have this a little of this adjustment which I can make, but what can I say? And so occasionally some students may end up getting this failing grade of the F if the person misses the taking either one of those two exams, like a midterm or final. Then there is no other way but I have to give them the failing flunk grade. Otherwise, I will be in trouble. So that's something. So please, 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 do not. So like what an accident happens. Yeah, a lot of times. So like some really, really unavoidable some accidents or any other thing. So if you didn't make showing up exam or anything, and then immediately you should try to make contact to me, so that I can try to seek any other alternative way of, so that at least you can be lifted, saved from having this failing rate. So please don't let it slip through your hand, uncontrollable things. Just take some action before it's too late. Or if you try and then caught in so-called this cheating academic misconduct during the exam. What kind of academic misconduct? Because this is anyway an open book type of question. The one such very serious academic misconduct we can think of is trying to consult with other living, whether in present together with you or remotely present, any living creature. I shouldn't say any living creature, because in the occasion as we try to communicate with your dog, try to get some answer, hey, then that doesn't count. That's not an academic misconduct. It's just you are such a lucky person that your dog can actually help you in the answering your question. Then yeah, all for it, I am. But living person, like your friends, your uncles, or anybody so that through this consulting and then try to get the answer, then that should be considered a serious academic misconduct, even though you can consult with any other non-living, artificial intelligence present available in many websites in these days. Anything you can use, but none of this living person. That's so no. Or in report, if I get to find the plagiarism. So you just took the entirely took the liberty of copying whole things and then pasting it. So this academic misconduct as an form of plagiarism should be like very familiar in these days to you, because in any other places probably you have received so many different education about this. Don't do this as a no, as a plagiarism. So I don't really have to go over too much about this. And so that's all I have to. It's oh, sorry, it's been a little much longer than I thought it would take. So my apology for this lecture intro. Lecture intro should have been only like within 10 to 20 minutes length, but my bad again. But anyway, so this is not, in many ways, it's not really a very the ideal, the pleasant days to enjoy, but let's try to enjoy what we have and be positive, and let's get over with all together, and peace and love. So okay, so then I will follow immediately the first lecture after this. So